Hello everybody. I have been busy harvesting. I harvested my winter squash today, and we're also going to take a look around at some of the brassicas. The cauliflower in particularly and the cabbages are doing quite well in the hoopos, and it looks like I'm going to be able to get a crop out of all of them this fall. And of course, to close this little video off, another look at the Chantecler Chicks, which are 7 weeks old today, and they're really getting quite large, also eating very well. I'm noticing a big difference in the amount of chicken feed that's being consumed. They seem to be very good scavengers too, though. They love to get outside and scratch around and find things to eat and eat the wild greens and things. They really look forward to that every day. Anyway, we'll have a little look at what follows here. Time to harvest the winter squash. Variety Sweet Mama, I think. And I think that's all, or at least most of my squash. The vines, as I've shown you before, are going in all directions. Some of these I didn't know were there until I got looking around in the undergrowth. The plants haven't been killed by frost yet. We haven't had a frost, but they're starting to die back anyway. And when you get this wet fall weather, that's when the slugs attack and kill and destroy your squash. So I've picked all that I can find, and they will be going in the hoopos find room for them on the bench for a week to 10 days or so to harden them off. The stems are green and still, and like they were still growing, and to store them, the stems should really be dried off and hard, and then they'll keep for several months in the basement. The largest one there, I think that's lower right, if I remember, weighed 3.17 kilograms. That's roughly 6 pounds, 12 ounces, something like that. And the smaller one, which is next to it, is going in for dinner this evening to see what they're like. First one I've eaten, and it weighed 1.26 kilograms, I guess, a little over 2 pounds. So I'm quite pleased with the size, and hope I'm going to be pleased with the flavor. Well, if you saw my earlier cauliflower from in the summer when it was hot in here in the hoopos, you know what a strange looking thing it was. It still tasted like cauliflower, but it sort of bolted and went in all directions. I have 4 or 5 now that are growing quite nicely. I'm pleased with that. Oh, bigger than fist size, I guess, at this point. I'm going to watch them carefully because I don't know when these things bolt. First time I've ever grown cauliflower, and I want to do pickled cauliflower. So far so good. I think I see 4 that are about that size, and there's a 5th one that's much smaller, but hopefully it will grow too. And the cabbages that were planted the same time, transplanted the same time, I guess started in trays the same time too as the broccoli and cauliflower, are starting to hit up. And I feel quite good about that. I'm getting small firm heads down in there, and there are half a dozen or so of those, and I think there's lots of time for them to continue and hit up, especially in here in the hoopos. Cold weather doesn't really bother them, and we wouldn't be getting a frost for quite a while yet, and when we do get our first frost, the hoopos protects against it. So I think there's a chance of getting some small size firm cabbage heads out of this. I checked in my sort of garden diary thing that I keep, and last year our first frost was the 13th of October. I think that might have been a bit late for our first frost for here. Anytime after late September we can expect a frost, but you never know from year to year. Well, that's a sad looking thing, but that's the artichoke blossom. It obviously has finished blooming and hopefully is forming seeds. I'm still curious to find out whether or not I might get another artichoke or two before the cold weather kills the thing in here. If you look down below here, there's lots of new growth. It's basically 3 stems that have come up. I think they were up actually late winter, early spring as well, and they sort of died back, but they're coming along strong for this time of year. I don't know what might happen. I'm hoping for an artichoke or two. I've been asked to show how I prepare a winter squash, so this won't take very long. It's quite a simple process. As you can see, they are quite hard shelled. I guess I was asked by a couple of gardeners who gardened in the south, where evidently winter squash are not as revered as they are up here. A lot of people up here won't even call what summer squash, the yellow squash and zucchinis, refuse to even call that squash. This is squash here when we talk about it. I split them in two, as you can see, and then I take the seeds out of the center. Back and show you that when I finished, and then turn them sunny side up here, and I salt and pepper the interior. I turn them back over and they go in the microwave. I microwave them on high for 10 minutes. They probably still won't be completely done, and then I can time it by how much more I think it needs to be done. And then what I'm trying to get here, when they are completely cooked, a knife will insert easily in the shell of the thing, which it will not do now. They're very hard and solid. I find this the easiest way to do them, and I'll show you what I do after they. Well, these cooked for 15 minutes on high altogether in the microwave, and like in the microwave, after you bring it out, it is still cooking. You have to remember that for a few minutes. But the shell here is much softer, much easier. I would say it's about. And then I do it this way. I'll show you how I scoop them out in a minute. They're very difficult when they're raw to peel. Some people peel them and boil it, or steam it, or roast it, or whatever. I prefer to bake it or do it in the microwave and then scoop it out of the shell, because it is not an easy job to peel these things. They're very hard. Well, I like them nice and dry, and that's what this one is. I was concerned that using it so quickly after I picked it that it might be wet, but it isn't at all. I think I like it dry because then you add more butter. I'll show you what I get when I come back here after I've shelled it, or taken them both out of the shells here. Well, the only thing I've done now is I've mashed it with quite a bit of butter and added some salt and pepper extra for seasoning, and give it a taste here. Very good. Sweet, dry, the way we like them anyway. Locally here, some people prefer them wetter than that, but that will keep for a week or more in the refrigerator. I'll cover it with plastic, and I'll just put some on a plate and heat it up in the microwave when I want it with a meal. Anyway, that is how I prepare winter squash.